welcome back to another episode of the Rocking Midlife Podcast. And if you're listening on your favorite audio platform or if you're watching the video at YouTube, please make sure to like, to comment, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share so that other midlifers get to meet all of these wonderful guests that I've been interviewing. And today's guest, they're definitely going to want to hear. I have the lovely Sandy Wade coming at you all the way from America. So welcome, Sandy.
Hello, Kat. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is my pleasure. And Sandy is one of our speakers at the Rocking Midlife Summit too. So you're seriously going to want to hear what this lady has to say because she shares so much gold in that particular recording, all about emptiness. But today we're going to be talking all things purpose, mindset, success. So before we get into it, let me just tell you a little bit about Sandy. So Sandy is a certified master life coach. She's a mindset mentor and a transformational coach. Sandy helps midlife frustrated women find the support they need to develop courage and confidence to transform their lives from the inside out. Now, the women that Sandy works with include middle-aged women seeking purpose in life, in midlife, as well as young, stressed out, overworked mums. And we all know that there is a real need there for those young mums to have that support. Sandy coaches women both in private groups as well as one-on-one. She's also a speaker and an author, and she continues to publish a blog offering encouraging words to help inspire and empower women to find their voice and their true, authentic self. Sandy also does a Facebook live show with a special message to encourage others, and her book is available on Amazon and it's called The Healing is in the Rain. But I will have all of Sandy's links in the show notes here so you can go grab all of those things and follow her online. But for now, welcome, Sandy. Where are you tuning in from?
Yes. Well, thanks for having me, Kat. I am in Bluffton, South Carolina, which is right along the coast in the southern part of the United States, right along the Atlantic Ocean.
Fantastic. And have you lived there long?
We've lived here going about 5 years, and we moved here from Seattle. So we went from one side of the coast of the country all the way to the other. But we love it here. It is so nice. It's beautiful.
That would be quite different cultures too, wouldn't they? It's a bit like that when you move across Australia, quite different cultures, even though the same country.
Exact opposites, but both of them are beautiful in their own ways.
Well, Sandy, tell us a little bit about your story, why you do what you do, what got you to doing what you do. Just let us know a little bit more about you.
Okay, well, my story actually began right after I turned 51. And it was like many things, their story begins when you hit rock bottom. And for me, I think it was my rock bottom. I was just really depressed. I was struggling, dealing with the grief of the loss of my dad. I was, extremely overweight, and I just felt fat and frumpy. I was depressed and starting to feel like I had more life behind me than in front of me. And I was just in a bad place, just emotionally.
Wow.
I remember the exact moment I was on my knees and I heard this voice tell me, maybe it was angels, but I heard this voice tell me that I needed to start a blog and have my husband take my picture, and I'd just go public with my struggle. And the words that I heard following was really clear. And it was, in order to heal, you have to get real.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And so that's what I did. And I posted this horrible picture of myself, and I basically just claimed I'm a blogger now and I'm going to share my struggle. And what really happened was transformative, and it just changed my entire life. And I shared what I learned through the process and what I went through. And really what I learned was that it wasn't about weight at all. It was about discovering who I was and realizing that I was enough just the way I am. And so then that ignited my passion and my fire for what I do now, because then I wanted to help other women, because I know so many women, I mean, not just in midlife, but even younger, that are struggling with the exact same thing of finding their way, finding their purpose, finding their passion, and just feeling lost. And that's how my passion really was born.
So the external really was the reflection of how you were feeling about yourself. everything inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
I can imagine there's
100%.
already so many women sitting here going, that is me, because I think we've all been there at some point or other. And
Oh,
to some
yeah.
extent, I think we all are in that place still. Even when things are going great, there's always that part of you that goes, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not anything enough. Would you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing I learned, from sharing in my post and as, just the community of family and friends, and then how
Mm,
that grew outside of that, was that every time I was struggling with something, I learned that I wasn't alone, that there
mm,
were other women out there, even a lot of men too, going through the same feelings of insecurity and the same struggles and the same just quest for there's got to be something more out there for me in
mm.
my life, and realizing that you're just not alone.
Yeah.
And that was just a beautiful discovery, because at first, I'll never forget when I hit share on the very first post. I was really embarrassed, thinking, I am making a big fool of myself. What am I doing? And then the outpouring
Yeah.
that came back was just incredible. Then I knew, I think I'm onto something here. I think that I could use this to help other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's powerful. And isn't it amazing? It's the journeys we go through are the ones that we end up sharing, isn't it? I've shared a lot of my journeys through the years, and yeah, that's what you end up encouraging other women through.
Yeah, yeah. And then you find out that you realize that it's never too late, no matter what your
Yeah,
age, it's never too late to do what you want to do, or to
yeah,
change, or to become what you want to become. It's never too late. And
yeah.
I kind of feel now that, I'm 55 and I'm just getting started. Like, I have so much that I want to do.
And this is where Sandy and I are so similar. We were talking about this before because I'm 55 as well. And I'm thinking exactly the same thing. If
Mhm.
anything, my world's gotten bigger. There's so much I want to do. And it's incredible how that happens at midlife when you let yourself step into that.
And I think that's with a lot of women, because you reach that place in your life, and then you can draw upon all that experience
Yeah.
from the past, and all the mistakes that got you to where you are now, and all of the lessons that you've learned, and all of that. I think that's why we have so much value to add, I think, as women, all women do, because everything you've been through.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
that experience, all that wisdom, everything. So you talk about finding your real and true why. You talk about that a lot in your writings, and that it's never too late to reinvent yourself. I probably don't even know my personal motto that I sign on everything, which is that it's never too late to have a new beginning in life.
Oh,
And
that I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I love it. You can start anything, you can try anything, really. But what are some of the practical steps that you tell women who are in that place thinking, well, I want to do something different, I want to reinvent, I don't quite know how? Like, what would you
Right.
suggest?
My first step would be, before you even go into the how, you need to find out, what is your why?
Mm,
Why do you want to reinvent yourself? Or why do you want to go after that goal? And to find your why, it sounds a little crazy, but I'm telling you, this really works, is to ask yourself why 7 times.
wow.
So for me, my first why I wanted to start on, losing weight, was I wanted, to be a certain size, or to have a certain, I don't know, appearance, and just keep going. Why? I want to live longer. I want to be healthy, but keep digging deeper. And when I did this, by the time I got to the seventh why, I realized what it was. And it all stems back to a conversation I had with my father. I was back in Ohio shortly before he passed away, and he battled cancer. So we knew the end was coming.
Mm,
And so I was there staying with them for several days, helping my mom take care of him. And on this particular day, we were at the kitchen table, and we were having just a heartfelt conversation, and talking about, honestly, all right, what kind of music would you like at your funeral? What do you want to
oh,
wear?
yeah.
Having him help us plan the funeral specifically. So the 7 whys, when I was talking with my dad and realizing that there's going to come a time when someone's having that conversation with me, that I'm going to be at the end of my life, and someone's going to be asking me and planning my funeral, I realized I wasn't truly living my life. I was
Mm,
observing it on the sidelines, and I wasn't in it. And my why turned out to be, my real why was that I wanted to really be in my life and not just
yeah.
observing it. It just completely changed everything. So now I ask myself every day, I ask myself, did I really live? Did I
Mm.
love? And do I matter? And those are my ways, like my touch points of making sure that I'm present in the day and that I'm truly engaged in wanting to be, in my life. Finding your why is critical. And
Mm.
that's how you're going to stay motivated to keep doing what you're doing and keep going after you want to go after. And, if you don't have a big enough why, motivation sometimes isn't going to always get you there. But if you
Mm.
have that deep seated, I want to be healthy, I want to be there for my children's children, that deep, deep why, whatever it is for you, that's how you're going to be able to stick to what you want and to really go for it.
Wow. Can you just give me those three things again that you just said that you ask yourself every day? Because they were really powerful.
I every day ask myself, am I living? Am I loving? And did I matter?
Mm. Love that, because it's not just about you, is it? It's about, did you matter? Did you give out to others? Did you love others as well? They're really good.
Exactly.
Really
Yeah,
good.
thank you. And that was a true game changer. And that's something that, I definitely learned in my journey. And that, so I would suggest that to anyone.
Mm.
Before you even think about the how, first start with the why,
Yeah,
and the rest will fall into place.
that's powerful. Now,
Yeah.
another thing you talk about, though, is resistance being a wonderful motivator. Three things you can do today to help you with life and stress. What are those three
Yeah.
things then?
So, through my journey, when I started this, I could no longer rely on, medicating myself with food,
Mm.
with, emotional eating and stress eating. And so I had to really seek out other ways that I could deal with stress, stress of career, stress, just life. Everybody
Yeah.
has just too much stress in our lives. The first thing that I discovered, and I call it the bubble, and it might sound a bit quirky, but it worked very well for me. And it's a visualization of imagining yourself surrounded in a plastic bubble. I call it my bubble of protection. So if
Mm.
I'm about to walk into a situation where I feel really stressed or anxious, or about to have a conversation that I'm uneasy about, I'll visually put myself in a bubble and I feel safe and protected. And then I imagine if anything negative comes towards me, it'll bounce off the bubble and I can stay in my positive bubble of protection. So that's the first thing that I learned and started to do.
That's
Yeah.
very
And
cool.
the
Yeah.
second thing I started to do was, I call it grounding.
Mm-hmm.
And this might sound even a little crazier than the bubble, but I often do it even like I'm in my little home office right now, and I'll do it sitting in my chair, or sometimes I'll do it, I'm outside. I do it at whenever. I envision actual roots growing from my feet and growing into the earth. And I
Mm.
visualize like just a weed grabbing hold of my feet and grounding me into the earth. Then I repeat a mantra in my mind and I say, ground me to the center of the earth and to the center of your spirit from which I've come. And so I'll just visualize the roots from my feet growing into the center of the earth. And
Mm.
then it'll surround, there'll be a ball of light. And each day it's a different color, whatever comes to my imagination. And the root will grab a hold of that color, and the glow of that color will come back up to my body. And then I visualize a white light coming down, and then I'm surrounded with this white light, and then the two colors just merge. And it's just a way to feel grounded and to be in the moment. It's hard for me to meditate, people that meditate for
Mm.
30 minutes or an
Yeah.
hour a day. It's really hard, but I can do quick little visualizations that have really helped me. And so this is one of those.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, that's
like a quick
interesting. I
visualization.
mean, I talk about the science of visualization in my book, 21 Hacks, because it is actually a powerful tool. It's used
Mhm.
by elite athletes and it does improve performance, it improves thinking, visualizing yourself being able to achieve certain things, being protected. All of that will help you in your thinking and your responses from a pure scientific way. So they're
Yeah.
little things that you use visualization for, just to help you deal with stress as you go through day-to-day life. Some interesting practical tips there.
Yes.
Okay, so the other thing you talk a lot about, though, is self-confidence. And you talk about getting real with brutal honesty and realizing you're enough just the way you are. Now, what do you mean by brutal honesty?
So what I mean by that is, I feel that realizing that you're enough just the way you are, it has to become a conscious choice that you make, that you
Mm.
owe it to yourself to make that choice. And I came to that realization from research that I did. I did a research for a magazine article. I had this theory that as women, when you're older women, that you are an example to younger women in your life.
Absolutely.
Be it relatives, nieces, sisters. And I came to that realization because I have a wooden chest full of journals that I've kept since I was probably 12 or 13. I just love to write in journals. And I don't know if it was a smart decision or a crazy decision of reading through some of them.
Wow.
Quite a while ago. And what I realized was in between pages and pages of just a lot of craziness and talking about boys and just a lot of nonsense, there were moments in there of real true wisdom, nuggets of brilliant wisdom.
Wow.
And I realized that all of those came from older women in my life that had passed those down to me.
Yeah.
So I surveyed 200 women between the ages of 16 and 70. And I had a list of questions that I asked. And I was seeking to find out if there was a difference between not feeling like you're enough with younger women and older women. And it was quite shocking, actually, because of the women that were under the age of 50, 91% of the 200 women all thought that they were not enough in several areas of their life.
Gosh.
Yeah. And what was really sad though was over 50, it improved, but not by a lot. It went to 71% of women.
Goodness.
So I think we have to do better and know that we are setting that example for the next generation, for the younger women in our lives. And we need to choose to believe that about ourselves, that we are enough just the way we are.
Yeah, that's amazing, getting that actual data. It drives it home so much more, doesn't it, when you see those figures?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just made it a brutal reality
Yeah.
that unless we change that, we have to really do something about that. And and when you think about the way our world is with social media, with Instagram and the fake lives, and we start to do that comparison. And I think that comparison is the thief of all joy.
Absolutely.
For starters.
Yeah.
But I think that it's very difficult, especially for younger women today. I remember the time when we didn't even have, cell phones. And so, I didn't grow up on social media, but I can imagine, I think the pressure is even worse now for this generation. And which is why I think we have to really step up. And that's why my main passion and mission is to get that out to people, to realize you are enough just the way you are.
Yeah, that's amazing. And if women listening in today can just take that away, and out of everything else, that is going to change your life. It really
One thing you can do that can help is find a picture of yourself at a really young age. I found a picture of myself, I think I'm 8 in the picture. And whenever you hear those negative voices in your ear, that self-talk that's telling you that, you're not this or not that, that little voice, you pull out that picture and you look into her young eyes and then remind yourself that's who you're being mean to.
Wow.
And when I started to do that was really where a pivotal moment for me of realizing that negative voice, it's really, I'm really hurting her. And I have a whole new compassion for myself after I started to do that. So I keep a picture of myself at that age. I remember feeling insecure and all those feelings. I keep a picture of myself in my wallet, and I have one hanging on my board here in my office, just as a constant reminder.
Yeah, I love that. Such a practical thing that women can take away and start doing right away.
Yes.
That is gold. So much there. I would encourage everybody to please go check out Sandy's links, go get her book, listen to her Facebook Lives, go read her blog, start to pick up some of these wonderful practical tools that she's got that will help you move past being stuck and feeling worthless, and to help you move into this next season of your life so that you can truly grow. So Sandy, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast today. You've just given so much. I know it's going to be a real blessing.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Kat. Thank you for having me. And I just want to acknowledge you for the work that you're doing, because I think that the message that you're doing of getting that out for women, of realizing that they are enough and it's never too late, I just think that's so important. So thank you for that.
Thank you. That's really kind. And I just love that there's so many of us around the world with the same message, basically, just slightly changed, to our own slant on it. And yet there's so many of us, so many women are starting to rise up and go, hey, midlife is a time of flowering. It's actually an adventure. It's something that we can find joy in, and despite all the grief.
Yes. And I think something really powerful happens when women can empower other women.
Yes. I do too.
I think that only good things will come from that. For sure.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you again. And thank you to all of our listeners. Please remember again, like, subscribe, please leave a review, especially if you're either on Spotify or on Apple. And make sure to share this episode to all of your girlfriends so that other women can get empowered and encouraged to rock their lives. Thank you, and